Let's continue configuring all the devices in this network setup, and let's look at the internal router 1. So I'm going to click on it. And so far we've been using this mechanism to configure the values on the interfaces, etc. So if I click on gigabit Ethernet 0/0, there's my IP number and the mask. Now, in the real world, you usually don't do it this way. Well, you don't do it this way. But let me show you how you would do it. For everything that we've clicked on here and added configuration to, you'll notice down below it shows you the equivalent iOS commands. And if you go to the command line interface, you'll see that you're being shown the same things over there. So we can copy this and use it for future reference, and you should also always save all these from any device that you configure, and you can also edit them and use it on other devices, which is what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to type exit here and exit again and press enter. So now I'm back at the prompt. This is the privileged exec mode prompt, and notice that now this device has been renamed the internal router 1, and I did this again using the config here. It's under settings right up here. And while I'm here, let me show you something else. Under routing, static, I've added this. And what this says is, if you have a packet and you don't know what else to do with it, send it here, 10.20.30.1, which happens to be, or will be eventually, this interface on the border router. Well, we haven't configured that yet. So you can look at this static route here as a default gateway. Well, it's a default route. So I went on and added that in there. So that'll show up in the configuration. So back to the command line, and I need to, let's try end. Yeah, that'll take us directly back to privileged exec mode. And while we're here, let's do this. I'm going to copy, run, start. And what this will do here is it's going to copy what we call the running configuration, which is what we've been configuring here. We're going to copy it over to the starting configuration. So when this router reboots, it's going to read the starting configuration and load that into the run in configuration. And so all of our changes will be loaded into the router. So copy, run, start. And you can type out the whole thing, running configuration, starting configuration, or you can just use this shorthand. And it says destination file name. Yeah, let's just take that. So we got that done. Now let's show the running configuration, and notice instead of typing all that out, I just sh run. So what you see here is the running configuration. If I press the spacebar, I get a whole page, and if I just hit the enter key, I get one line at a time. So this part here, let's look through this, and a lot of this we haven't really touched, so it starts right here. I'm not interested in any of this, but this is the part I'm interested in. These are the interface configurations, and here's my default route. So I'm going to copy those, and then I'm going to go open up a text editor, in this case just Notepad. I'm going to paste that in there, and probably a good idea here to, I guess ordinarily I would do the whole thing and save everything just in case, but for our purposes I want to use this to configure the internet or the internal router too. So let's take this, get it down here where I can see what needs to be done. Now these are identical routers, which makes it a little easier because they have the same interfaces. And let's go on and save this. This is going to be internal router, if I can spell, to config. And I personally think it's a good idea to put a date on this. Okay, so now let's edit this. So let's see here. Let's start with the gigabit 0/0 interface. So that's right here. Now its IP number should be 192.168.102.1. So we need to edit that to 102. The default mask is going to be the same. This duplex auto and speed auto, no problem, leave those alone. Now one thing you can add here, just to make sure, you can type no shutdown. Notice this interface here that we're not going to use is actually shut down. So I'm going to put no shut. Actually, you didn't have to type down all the way out. No shut works just as well. And while I'm at it, I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to put it here because I want this one up. And I'm going to put it here because I want this one up as well. These are just in case, because it defaults to shutdown, so you might as well be sure to tell it don't default to shutdown. So it's a double negative, kinda. Alright, so let's go ahead here. So the gigabit 0/1 is 192.168.103.1. So in this case, notice this doesn't quite match up to what we had up here, but that's okay. We can fix this. So the 0/1 is 192.168. So what I do here is I would cut this one, paste it up here. So now I got both of them. So let's fix this one. So the 0/1 is 103. So that needs to change. 103. The subnet mask is going to be the same. So now let's cut that one. And we'll bring it down here and paste it in. So this is this interface right here. So 10.20.30.6, and don't worry about these IP numbers just yet. I'll explain that probably next video. So let's see here. Our default route, in this case we're going to need to change it as well. So instead of sending packets that we don't know what else to do with to 10.20.30.1, we're going to send it to 10.20.30.5. So this needs to be a 5. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Save. And then I'm going to copy it. And by the way, if you're copying and pasting and copy and paste doesn't work, from the right click, do this. Hold down the control key, and in this case if I do control A, that gives me all, and if I do a control C, that's a copy. And if I wanted to, I could do a control X and delete. Control V is paste. So you should know those, because a lot of times, for example, inside a packet tracer, the right mouse button doesn't work, but the control A and control C and control V work. So it's good to know. So here's what we're going to do. Like I pointed out, we've been using this interface for configuration, but that's not what you're going to do in the real world. Here's what you're going to do in the real world. You're going to go get yourself a laptop, and you're going to go out to the communications closet, wherever this particular router is, and you're going to use a console cable, and you're going to plug the console cable into the console port, and then you're going to bring that over and plug it into your laptop. Now here's the trick. You click on the laptop here, it's going to show you USB 0 and USB 1 and also RS-232, as well as the Ethernet connection. Modern console cables will work with USB. For packet tracer, you have to click RS-232. So RS-232 is the original old-time serial port, and that's what these console cables originally used. Nowadays, it's really hard to find an RS-232 port, particularly on a laptop, because they're pretty good sized, a lot larger than a USB port. So RS-232 is a serial port, just like USB is, but you have to use the RS-232 on when you're inside packet tracer. So now if I click here, here's my laptop, and let's see, I think that's the RS-232 port. Anyway, we got it connected. So now we want to go to the desktop and click on terminal. Now this is what the default terminal configuration is. 9600 bits per second, 8 data bits, no parity, 1 stop bit, etc. So I'm going to click OK. Now, before I tell you what this is in the real world on your laptop, you're probably going to be using something called PuTTY, P-U-T-T-Y, which is basically a terminal emulation program. There's other ones. PuTTY is probably what a lot of people are going to use, but you need something that emulates a terminal. So here's what you're looking at right now. This is what this router did when it booted up. This is the whole boot sequence. And notice here it says press return to get started. So I'm going to press return, and notice we're in the user exec mode here. And if I do enable or just EN, now we go to the privileged exec mode. Notice how the greater than sign changed to a pound sign. Now, as I'm looking at this, I'm reminded that we didn't get the command where I changed the name of the other router. So let's go back and look at that real quick. We'll just leave this here. Let's go back over here. And let's see here. Where did we change the router name? It should be in here somewhere. Yes, host name. So really, we can get this, copy that. Now we're going to take it back over here to our configuration, and I'm going to put it up here at the top. Control V, just paste that in there. So now, and I don't think it makes any difference whether you have that exclamation point there or not. We'll find out. Control A, Control C. Select all, and then copy it. So now we can go back down here. Now, I'm in the privileged exec mode, but I need to be in configure terminal mode. And if you're sitting there thinking that's a lot to type, it is. All you have to do is Conf T, and notice we are now in the config mode. So now if I right click and paste, it's going to run this, what I copied in my configuration. Now for some reason it doesn't like the IP classless, and if it doesn't like something, it gives you this, but it goes on and runs. Okay, so and these statements right here are when these interfaces went from down to up. So that's good. So now if I press enter, notice I'm still in the config terminal mode. I'm going to exit, which takes me down a level. Now I'm in privileged exec, and I can show run. So this is the new configuration in my router. Notice I should have changed the 1 to a 2, and I'll do that in a second. And let's see here. Here's my new configuration for my interfaces. Probably a good idea is kind of glance at them and make sure they make sense. I think we got them. Here's our default route. So let's see here. Let's go Conf T, and let's try host name again. Internal router 2. Okay, so that was successful. Now, exit back down to privileged exec mode, and we want to copy. And I'm sure there's an abbreviation, but I usually just type out copy. We want to copy the run configuration, which we just updated, back to the start. Press enter. So now when this boots up, it's going to load that configuration. So what we did there is quickly edit an existing configuration, and you have to be careful because I missed the host name, but we made a change. We uploaded it, well, we copied and pasted it into the router, which you'll notice it was really quick. And now all we need to do is just verify that we got it right, and we'll use ping for that. Now remember, ping is not definitive in the real world, but it still has its uses. So let's try that real quick. Let's try ping. Let's go from here, which is 103.102. Let's see if we can ping 102.101. So ping 192, 168, 102, 101. And after a missed packet there to get its head together, this works. So our configuration, at least this part of it, was correct. Now I still can't ping all the way up here because I haven't configured the border router yet. So that's going to be the next video. So just to review here, I had a configuration, I copied it, edited it, and fed it back into a different device using a laptop and a console cable. And this is how you would do it in the real world. So I could have went in here and set all this up since I'm in Packet Tracer, but in the real world this is not going to be available to you. But you can use this to get the configuration you want and then copy and paste it and upload it. You can copy it and then upload it by pasting it from your laptop into a real device out there on your network. So this whole idea of copy a configuration, edit, also save it, edit it, copy and paste it back into another device, or even in the original device if you're making some changes, it'll save you a lot of trouble. And that's the way it's done in the real world. So that's the important thing in this particular video. Next time we'll learn about these networks and we'll configure the border router.